Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be breaking down another little bit of an off-meta pick, a pick that's starting to pop up in pro play a little bit more, but honestly, whether you're talking about solo queue, pro play, whatever, all across the world, this pick is getting more and more popular. The win rates are pretty crazy. If you're somebody looking for something different and fun to play in solo queue, it might be a good option. If you're just looking for something that might be a little underrated and honestly a little bit overpowered, Nocturne top could be the thing for you. So what kind of put this on my radar was obviously TSM played it this weekend. Huni pulled it out in a couple of different games. Overall, it worked out pretty well for TSM, so I started researching more just to see what exactly was going on. It turns out this pick is pretty damn good no matter what you're doing. It has right now in Plat Plus solo queue around a 52% win rate. It has multiple different builds, multiple different styles. You can really adjust it based on the matchup. Obviously, Nocturne has a just an amazing time roaming around, even if maybe you get stuck in a bad matchup. He's really good with TP plays in the top lane. His ultimate is obviously going to have allow you to have a ton of pressure all around the game. His click on CC is something that is extremely valuable. On the screen right now, we're actually taking a look at Someday, who is one of the best top laners in North America right now, pulling this pick off in solo queue. So we'll get to break down just kind of how he does it. Obviously, you see there the level 2 trade of Nocturne can be so good. Starting off with a point in Q, then going to that point in E second, and then just you're able to bully melee champions a ton. I mean, he does a decent amount of damage early game. Honestly, he has good wave clear with his Q and his AoE auto attacks. There are a lot of good things about Nocturne top. Obviously, in this game, we're seeing him play into the Cho'Gath matchup. I know he is pretty good into a lot of different tanks. Obviously, his W, giving that CC immunity, can be really nice in getting to stop tanks and everything. He's going to be a major threat to all different kinds of AD carries, all kinds of carries on the team. And like I said, you are able to dominate your lane, but also you have those options to roam around and stuff a little bit too. Obviously, Someday's going to TP back in here. We can kind of take a look at how this is going so far for him. So he's up 1 CS. He got the flash from the Cho'Gath, and he flashed as well. So no sums right now in the top lane, but pretty even so far, but definitely looking much more Nocturne favored. He went into the mid lane, didn't really get anything out of his TP, so Nocturne kind of got some of that CS back. Elise actually comes up, and she's sitting on a ward, but as far as talking about actually just how to make this pick work, I've seen multiple different rune pages. The main rune pages that players in high elo, professional players are playing right now. There is this Conqueror rune page, the rune page that that Someday is actually going in this game. This is Conqueror with Overheal, Legend Alacrity, Last Stand, and then Inspiration secondary with Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic. I think that's kind of the more popular one that I've seen, and probably the more common one as they trade kills in the top lane. You know, Nocturne, you got to be aggressive. You want to be going for a ton of aggressive kills and stuff, trying to kind of, just take over the game, trying to be really annoying. The other rune page that can be very good as well, and this is one that we've seen Huni playing in solo queue a little bit as well, is the Lethal Tempo. Just like Lethal Tempo can be really good in the jungle, it can obviously be really good in the top lane. This is Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Legend Alacrity, Last Stand, and then Taste of Blood and Ultimate Hunter secondary. So you have a couple of different options. The Conqueror is much more popular in Season 11. Most people are going with the Conqueror. It just makes you a really insane duelist. As far as the build, the main build here for Nocturne, he is going Stridebreaker like pretty much every single game that I've seen. The Stridebreaker gives him really nice, having that little bit of an extra dash obviously helps you stick to the back line, make sure you get your E procced, which can be very strong and is super important on Nocturne. Obviously, as they go and they show the power of the click on CC for Nocturne is just so good, so strong, so annoying. But Stridebreaker helping you keep in tether range of your E, just giving you a little bit of extra dash to be able to stick to the back line. And then also the stats for the Stridebreaker are so nice. 45 AD, 20% attack speed, a little bit of health, a little bit of CDR, everything that Nocturne wants. Stridebreaker super good on him. With Conqueror and Stridebreaker, you become kind of, just a really nice fighter build for the Nocturne for those kind of trades over time. It can be really strong for him, really good there. And then, as far as the boots, there are a couple different options. Ionian boots with Lucidity can be very, very strong. I believe in this game, Someday decided to go with the Merc Treads. I mean, they're just bullying this Cho'Gath in between towers now. That's another thing. Nocturne, you can use that ultimate to kind of roam around if you want to look mid lane, if you want to look for the jungler, if you want to try and bully him or whatever. But also, top lane is so long that if they try to run away from you, you can just use that ult as like a dash onto them. And it can just be super, super good. If you get ahead, you can just always be engaging onto the enemy top laner, always be threatening them for kills and stuff. It can be so annoying. But again, as far as the boots, you have whatever different option you decide to go with. Lucidity boots are the most popular. Steel caps are really, really good. In this game, Someday goes Merc Treads. It just kind of depends. I know Lucidity boots are really, really popular now on all different kinds of champions, and that's mostly what we're seeing on this Nocturne top lane. But if you're worried about CC, something like that, you have your W, so Merc Treads aren't super popular on him, but you have that option if the other team does have like a crazy amount of CC, or you're really worried about one champion or one ability or something, even more than you think you'll be able to spell shield. And then the steel caps obviously can be good into certain matchups as well. Maybe if you're into like a Lucian up in the top lane, you know, some kind of marksman, bully, range type deal, which can be really, really annoying. The steel caps can be good as well, but most of the time you're going to be going to Lucidity boots. The next item is going to be that Sterox gauge. This is going to be so good for the Nocturne. 50 AD, 400 health, and then obviously getting that lifeline passive, the tenacity and everything, going to help you stick to targets, going to help you stay alive, going to make you honestly very, very hard to kill by this time. You have Conquer, you have the Stride Breaker, and you have the Sterox. You're going to be able to just dive into the backline and go really, really crazy. Again, getting that CC onto priority targets, and you're going to be a damage threat onto these AD carries too. You see at this point, once Someday gets ahead, I mean, this game just becomes so difficult for the Cho'Gath. This has to be so annoying. Cho'Gath is already 1-4, 8 minutes into the game, and this is on Someday's challenger account, but this game is like kind of a grandmaster master game. You know how you don't always have the best matchmaking and stuff, so this game is maybe a little bit below Someday's skill level, but still, I mean, he's carrying it on this Nocturne chop. He is 2-1-2. He's up almost 30 CS. This is 8 minutes in. This is really, really disgusting. And this is even with him kind of trading kills in the early game. Yes, he's gotten a ton of help from Elise and stuff, but Hecarim's been up there a couple times as well. And that's another thing. Nocturne, obviously, with his crowd control, with his click on E, can help set up for other junglers, you know, like a Nidalee Spear coming in, like an Elise coming in for some follow-up CC and everything. And then Nocturne, obviously, he can be pretty, has a little bit of a weakness in the early lane phase. I would say his base damages are actually pretty decent. He has some wave clear and stuff. He can bully tanks early, but if you were into like a carry or a more aggressive pick in the early game, you might have to be a little bit careful. But then again, once you hit 6, you've seen Someday a couple times get deep wards into the enemy team's jungle. You could be ulting onto the other team's jungler if he's kind of doing camps when he's low. That would be annoying. You have the option to ult into mid. You have just so many different options, and with this build, you're getting tanky enough. It's not like you're just a squishy guy just kind of inting in, going for kills and stuff. So it can be really, really good. And I think this pick is just really, really underrated. Again, it's seeing itself get played a little bit in pro play, and it had some success. TSM, I believe, won both games that they played the Nocturne in the top lane. The solo queue win rates are great. It does have some bad matchups as far as talking about the bad matchups and everything for it. Its lowest win rate right now, Nasus, Garen, Fiora, Kled, maybe some champions you want to be watching out for. Tryndamere, Warwick, Urgot, those guys can kind of be difficult. But as far as the champions, it dominates. It's stomping over Aurelia, Ornn, Yorick, Rumble, Akali, Mordekaiser. I mean, it has so many good matchups in the top lane. It's a great matchup into this Cho'Gath, Volibear, Camille, Renekton. It can beat a lot of the meta champions right now, and that can just be so good for it. And it's an awesome pick for helping out your team as well. If you want to carry through the top lane, if you just want to snowball yourself out of control, you have that option. If you want to roam around and help out the team, you have that option too. And then obviously you can still in certain games, certain situations, you can still build him more like an assassin. You can still kind of sort of build him more like a fighter or a tank. You have a ton of flexibility, whether you're behind, whether you're ahead, depending on what your team's composition needs. I just think the Nocturne top can be really good, and also it's really fun to play. And I know there are obviously a lot of people who just like to kind of try some different off meta builds and stuff like that, and I think this can be a really good one. So after those two main items, the Stride Breaker and the Sterox, the different items kind of go all over the place. Some people like to go for a Guardian Angel, obviously for diving in backline. Guardian Angel can always be a great option. I've seen some Randuin's Omen as well. There's some people that like to go the Chempunk Chainsword. Thornmail. These are all different kinds of those options that are going to round out the build. Those are going to be your very, very typical items for the Nocturne chop. Again, you have some options that are maybe a little bit more damage focused. Some people like to go Black Cleaver, some people like to go Death's Dance. You can even, you know, go for a little bit more of the assassination and stuff like I talked about, but you have all those different kinds of options. Right now, Someday is sitting still at 2-1 and 2, still up about 20-ish CS right now over the Cho'Gath, but he is way, way more useful. He's kind of roaming around. Still a very, very close game. It's almost tied in gold 11 minutes in, but the Nocturne is so fed. He has the Iron Spike Whip finish, so that's helping him out even more with the wave clear on top of his auto attacks and everything. And again, you're just going to have so much map pressure with the TP, with the ultimate. The other team's going to have to be very, very mindful of you, very, very scared and worried about you. And if somebody's able to pull off something like this in a challenger game, and Hooney's able to pull off something like this in a professional game, then I think this pick can definitely be good in some solo queue games, whether you're bronze, whether you're plat. You know, the win rates are really good across the board as a top lane Nocturne. Also, most people are not going to be expecting top lane Nocturne, so in draft, you can maybe get an advantageous lane. You can maybe help your team out, and you know, maybe if they think it's a Nocturne jungle, they'll try to go certain picks or certain styles or whatever. And I think having those kind of flex picks in draft, even though it's not a major thing in solo queue, I think it still can be really, really good, and I think it can definitely catch some people off guard and help your team out as far as the draft phase as well, potentially getting you some advantageous situations. You're not going to get counterpicked in the top lane very often. We know how just annoying counterpicks in the top lane can be. So you do have some very, very solid options there. They're just kind of knocking down some turret plates and stuff now. We're almost 13 minutes into the game. So that's what is kind of going on. Overall, I do think the Nocturne is really, really strong right now. I'm surprised to see that as many people aren't playing it, but again, I think we are kind of starting to see the play rate and stuff pick up, especially if we continue to see this more and more in professional play and everything. I think people are going to start getting onto it, especially in a TSM game. You know, people are going to kind of be copying it all over. Right now in solo queue, as far as the pros, I see Hooney and Someday actually playing it a decent amount, and they are having a lot of success with it, obviously, like you can see in this game. This isn't anything specific to the Nocturne on a play like that, but he's able to pick up another kill there. You know, Hecarim just kind of got caught in a bad spot. Nocturne going aggressive onto the Akali. You can see, even though, you know, he's like Conqueror, and even though he's like a little bit of a fighter, still has really, really strong damage, especially over time. You get that Conqueror all the way stacked up. You can just be super, super strong. As far as the skill order, you're putting a point in Q at level 1, then W at level 2, E at level 3. This game, Someday actually went Q, E, then W, but typically QWE, but QEW is not too bad either. As far as maxing, you're going to be maxing Q first all the way up, maxing E second, and then maxing W last. Obviously putting in a point in ultimate at 6, 11, and 16 when that is an option, when that is available. Just some of those other things to just kind of be mindful of to kind of keep in your mind, so you know exactly how you're getting into the game. Obviously, you need to know your skill order, you need to know the build, you need to know the rune pages, the setup, and everything. Someday does TP down into this crazy bot lane fight here. It wasn't looking too good for his team at the beginning, but he is able to turn it around. He is now on a killing spree, and he just cleans that up. That fight went very, very well for his team, even though you know, he showed up a little bit late. It wasn't necessarily looking so good. 4-1 and 3 now. It's really just him and Elise. He's 4-1, Elise is 5-1, and they're just kind of stomping this game. They've been all over the place together. Obviously, if you get ahead, you want to make sure you're having a large map impact. Someday has been able to do that. He took a ton of plates mid. He obviously had a ton of pressure top. Now he's taking the plates bot. He is just continuing to just push forward because he is so strong right now. And you honestly see how strong that wave clear and stuff is too. Nocturne is honestly a really solid laner. I know we've heard a lot of people talking about Nocturne mid, and we've even seen that in pro play. I know Vedius is like a Nocturne mid player who's always advocating for just how good Nocturne can be. And I think mid lane makes a lot of sense too. You know, you have those roams to bot, you have those engages onto your usually squishy mid laners, but some of the differences between mid and top is mid, you have that shorter lane. You know, it's not as easy just to get those ultimate engages onto that mid lane, so you're trying to roam more top and bot. I think Nocturne mid is usually a little bit better when Nocturne is better as like an assassin, when you're looking to one-shot people and stuff. I think it can be really good because you have access to squishy mid laners, you have access to the squishy bot laners that you can just kind of roam down and kill. But right now, Nocturne is more of a a fighter. He is more of that bruiser style. He is building a little bit tankier, a little bit more health, a little bit more tenacity, a little bit more sustained damage, and that I think just fits into the top lane a little bit better. You know, we saw that Nocturne can do really, really well against a lot of these tanks, against a lot of these melees. He has a pretty good lane phase, scales pretty decently well, and overall he can be pretty useful. So we've got to see if Someday can find a way to kind of close out this game now, because it's about 15 minutes in. I believe the game is still pretty close as far as the gold values and everything. Someday just making sure to steal away a lot of camps. That's another thing, that since Nocturne actually is, you know, typically a jungler, he's very good at clearing the camps and stuff, and you can just get into the other team's jungle and clear the camps really, really fast. You're even going to have an increased clear speed now that you know, you're a higher level, you're hopefully more fed, you're hopefully stronger, but you can still take all those camps just like you normally would as like a regular Nocturne jungler or something. So that can be really useful as well. That can help you get even more of those leads. You get the good wave clear going, you get your waves pushing, sneak into the jungle, take that. Just take over the game. Make sure you're constantly pushing your leads, constantly looking for another way to get gold, just like Someday's been able to do. He's 17 minutes in. He has almost 150 CS, almost 50 CS up on the Cho'Gath. He's 4-1-3. He had that early game death, but after that, you know, it's been a really, really clean game, and he hasn't had to do anything crazy either. You know, he is really just I mean, Nocturne's not a crazy mechanical champion. You don't have a ton of ways to like outplay or do anything crazy. As long as you're paying attention to CC, hitting your W, clicking your E, you know, it's very, very straightforward. Also, another good thing that he's doing out of base always is, you know, he's throwing his Q, using that to get the speed boost when he's moving around the map and everything. Especially right now when he has the blue buff, he's not really worried about mana or anything at all. Making sure you're always throwing around that Q. It helps you get around the map and everything. He decides to go aggressive onto the Samira there. You just see how annoying that can be when you can just jump at the AD carry from anywhere. You get that engage plus the CC afterwards. You are just such a threat, and he ends up at like full health. Here he decides to check a bush into 3 people. Maybe he doesn't end up in the best situation, but his Sterox pops. Really, really tanky. Honestly, so annoying. He's able to re-engage back in. I mean, he literally face checked into 3 people, and it just did not matter at all. It's pretty disgusting. His mix of damage and overall usefulness and utility, pretty crazy. I honestly think this pick is really, really underrated. He helps his team knock down another tower there. Obviously, he's going to be healing up and everything. He's going to go back to base now. We'll see what he picks up. So far, he does have the Stride Breaker, the Sterox, and the Merc Treads. So this will be interesting to see what he starts to build into as his 3rd item. Just decides to kind of tick away on that Corrupting Potion, and he buys a BF Sword. So that might, we'll see what that ends up going into. But we are now 18.5 minutes into the game. His team has right around a 5,000 gold lead. The other top lane is really struggling. You know, you see Cho'Gath up in the top lane. He's a little bit more conventional of a top laner. Maybe you think your team's trolling or whatever with the Nocturne top, but in this game, you know, so far so good. It's actually working out very, very well for Mr. Someday and his solo queue team. But again, making sure they're able to close this one out cleanly. The Silas picks up a kill onto the Samira there, and it's not looking good for the other team, but they get a kill onto their Jhin. The Someday on the Nocturne decides to go in 2v1, gets the fear onto Nautilus, is able to kill him. Now he is just sitting here chilling 1v1, see who's able to win this one over time. Hecarim against the Nocturne. They're both healing up so much. They're both fleeing each other. But Someday is able to pick up the clean 2v1 double kill there. You see how strong he is right now. Hecarim was 1-4. It's not like he was that strong, so I mean, maybe that doesn't show you too much, but still, just diving in 2v1, being able to take them both out. And then live on the map, take away some more minion waves, look to knock down another tower. Nocturne honestly does really, really strong structure damage too. You can see he's just kind of shredding through this tower. Really, really disgusting, and it's just super, super good. Useful top laner in so many ways. So good in the side lanes. So good helping his team group. I mean, that's another thing. You can just sit and kind of push out waves, push out waves, push out waves. And then if your team fight breaks out mid, you can show up a little bit late. You're there without even having a TP or anything, where the other top laner is going to be much more reliant on needing to TP, needing to actually position a little bit better and set up his waves a little bit better and stuff. You know, you're able to get away with some of that. Someday does finish off his GA now. Now he's 8-1, and he can just really go crazy diving in. He's going to be so strong, such a threat to the enemy team. The enemy team looks like they're setting up around the Baron area for some reason. I don't know. They're down like 6,000 gold. Maybe they're going to go for a crazy last-minute play. Someday is able to just take away his team's camps. And that is the game after the enemy team does decide to surrender. But there it is, my little Nocturne top breakdown guide, whatever you want to call it. This pick is on the rise right now. Really strong in pro play, really strong in solo queue, high elo, low elo, whatever. You guys should definitely try it out. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy this video. I'd appreciate it so much. Really helps me out the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about Nocturne top lane? And if you try it out, let me know how that goes. Subscribe to stay up to date on my latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!